There's a type of person who hears party this weekend and immediately starts planning their excuse. Not because they're depressed, not because they have social anxiety, but because they genuinely rather be alone. And psychologists just figured out why society has been completely wrong about them. There's a difference between being lonely and being alone. One is a wound, the other it might just be a superpower. See, for decades, psychologists lumped everyone who enjoyed solitude into one big concerning category. Introverts, loners, antisocial. That last one especially, like enjoying your own company, meant you were one bad day away from becoming a villain origin story. But then something fascinating happened in the research. In 2016, a team of psychologists at the University of Buffalo did something nobody had really done before. They asked a simple question. What if some people just prefer being alone? Not because they're scared of others, not because they're damaged, but because solitude actually makes them feel good. They called it unsociability, not antisocial. That's different. That's active hostility toward people. Not avoidant, that's fear-based, but unsociability, the calm, confident preference for your own company. And when they studied these people, plot twist, they were doing great. Better than great. Actually, let's talk about what's actually happening in the brain of someone who genuinely enjoys being alone. First, their dopamine system works differently. You know how extroverts get this massive hit of dopamine from social interaction, the laughs, the energy exchange, the buzz of being around people. People who prefer solitude have a more sensitive dopamine system. They reach optimal stimulation levels faster. Think of it like spice tolerance. An extrovert needs the whole jalapeno to feel anything. A person who loves solitude, one flake of red pepper, and they're good for the day. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Their prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for deep thinking, self-reflection, and complex problem solving, shows heightened activity during alone time. They're not just sitting there staring at walls. Their brains are throwing a whole party of introspection, creativity, and mental processing. And get this, studies on creativity consistently show that breakthrough ideas rarely happen in brainstorming sessions or crowded coffee shops. They happen in the shower on solo walks at 2 a.m. when you're the only one awake. Einstein did his best work alone. So did Newton. Virginia Woolf literally wrote an essay called A Room of One's Own about this exact need. Maya Angelou rented a hotel room just to write in solitude even though she had a perfectly good house. Coincidence? I don't think so. Now, before you start diagnosing yourself, because I know half of you are already like, this is me. Let's pump the brakes for a second. There's a crucial distinction here. Do you choose solitude or are you hiding in it? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Some people aren't embracing solitude. They're using it as armor, as a shield against rejection, judgment, or the vulnerability that comes with connection. And that's where we need to be honest with ourselves. Psychologist Abraham Maslow talked about this. He said, healthy solitude comes from a place of abundance, not scarcity. You enjoy being alone because you've had meaningful connections and you know you can have them again. You're not running from people, you're running toward yourself. The question isn't, do you like being alone? The question is, why do you like being alone? If your answer involves words like recharge, create, think, process, you're probably in that healthy unsociability zone. If your answer involves words like safer, easier, less painful, that might be something else worth exploring. Not wrong, not broken, just different, and maybe worth a conversation with someone you trust. But let's get back to the people who genuinely thrive in solitude because they figured out something the rest of us are still learning. They've discovered that being alone isn't the same as being incomplete. Think about how we talk about relationships. My other half, my better half, you complete me. We've built this entire narrative that humans are like broken Lego pieces just desperately searching for our matching brick. But people who enjoy solitude, they've looked at that narrative and said, actually, I'm a whole set already. And here's what's fascinating. This isn't arrogance, it's self-awareness. Research from Dr. Bella DePaulo at UC Santa Barbara found that single people who embrace solitude often have stronger connections with friends, family, and community than their coupled counterparts. Because they're not trying to get all their needs met by one person. They're not clinging, they're choosing, they understand something crucial. The quality of your alone time directly impacts the quality of your social time. When you're recharged, centered, and clear-headed from solitude, you actually show up better in relationships. You're not depleted, you're not resentful, you're not looking for someone else to fix the emptiness. You're bringing your whole self to the table because you have spent time at your own table first. There's power in that. Here's something that'll blow your mind. In Japan, there's a word for this. Hitori, alone time. And it's not just accepted, it's celebrated. There are restaurants with solo seating booths designed specifically for one person, movie theaters with single seats that don't make you feel like the odd one out, entire cultural practices built around the idea that sometimes you just need to exist with yourself. They've even got solo karaoke booths. Think about that. They've made singing alone in a soundproof box a legitimate social activity. Meanwhile, in the West, we're still asking people, why are you eating alone? Like, it's a confession at a support group. Wild. So, what does this mean for you? If you're someone who genuinely loves being alone, here's your permission slip. You're not weird, you're not broken, your brain is literally wired to find restoration in solitude. And that's not just okay, it's valuable. The world needs people who can sit with themselves, who can think deeply without constant stimulation, who know the difference between connection and codependency. In our age of constant connectivity, where everyone's expected to respond immediately and always be available, the ability to genuinely enjoy your own company might be the most countercultural thing you can do. But make sure you're not confusing preference with self-P protection. Check in with yourself honestly. Can you connect when you want to? Do you have people you trust? Are you running to solitude or from connection? Because the healthiest relationship with being alone is one where it's a choice, not a defense. The next time someone asks you why you're always alone, or why you canceled those plans, or why you'd rather stay home with a book than go to that party, you can tell them about dopamine sensitivity, about prefrontal cortex activation, about Hittori and Einstein, and the entire body of research showing that solitude isn't social failure, it's often social intelligence. Or you can just smile and say, because I like myself. That usually ends the conversation pretty quickly. And honestly, that's the whole point. If this video just explained habits, you'll never been able to explain yourself. Don't scroll. The videos on screen are direct follow-ups breaking down why you recharge the way you do and why certain routines feel necessary. The other explains how your brain processes stimulation and how that shapes your daily behavior. They're not random. They answer the questions this video probably just raised. I'll see you there.